What's the eerie music?
It's the lights.
They're done.
Okay. I am a person. I have interests, hobbies, likes, dislikes, friends, family. I'm also a professional. I have skills. I have my value to an organization. I have client relationships. Now, it always seemed you were supposed to keep the person and the professional separate. You weren't supposed to bring your personal life to work, and you weren't supposed to bring your work life home. Who's ever been able to do that? I think it is a false dichotomy to separate the person from the professional. The theme of this conference is sustainability, and I want to talk to you today about the importance of sustaining your personal energy to fuel your professional success. It's always something. What'd you guys do? I was very excited when they picked me to speak. I call up my girlfriend, and I tell her what I'm going to talk about, and she immediately blurts out, "Oh my gosh, our friend Steven has got to quit his job." No, I'm serious. He's got to quit, find a new job. He's no good to anybody like that. It's going to kill him. So I thought maybe I'd come up with a good topic. It was Christmas Eve a few years ago. I was working for a large consulting organization, and I had a proposal due. Yes, on Christmas Eve. I had been watching the countdown clock on the electronic submission portal count down for 3 weeks. And I was heads down. I wanted to get it done, and I wanted to start my holiday. All of a sudden, my document went wonky. The titles changed. Some of the language turned into Latin. Spell check stopped working. And I'm a little dyslexic, and I started to freak out. Not a lot of people to help me on Christmas Eve. But my boss was in. So I started to panic. I get up out of my chair. I walk over to his door, and I feel the blood draining out of my body. And I start to shake. My head is pounding, and I don't know if I'm going to throw up or pass out. And I go to my boss's door, and I'm like this. He looks up, and he says, "Breathe, Catherine." So I breathed. My boss was a very kind man, and he got me the help I needed. Somehow, we got the proposal out the door, but when I was standing there, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to stroke out in my boss's doorway. And it was a moment. And I got my proposal out, I went home, and I took the rest of the holiday week to figure out my exit strategy, because that was not sustainable. So if you're saying, it's a little dark, I have a colleague who works at another company, a higher-powered version of my job, and they actually did have a stroke at 31. We are burning out our best. So he's saying, okay, what about small business? Are they having a better time? And I'll say yes and no. It seems like you have control of your destiny with owning a small business, but you also are resource constrained, and you're trying to do more with less. And I know a lot of small business owners who are utterly and completely exhausted from running into walls. So yes and no. You're like, okay, well, how about big business owners? Are they doing better? Arianna Huffington did a tremendous TEDx talk where she talks about a group of other high achievers, and they got into this competition where who was working harder and having earlier morning meetings and getting by on less sleep. And she didn't realize how exhausted she was. So one day she did a header into the corner of her desk and slit open her cheek all the way up to her eye and woke up in the hospital. Now, if mine was a full stop, hers was a hard stop. But she stepped back and she changed her life and she changed her organization. Hard stops. I can tell you a lot about hard stops. I work with people in career, business, and life transition. And they're the hard stops that you can't control. Involuntary job loss, financial collapse, divorce, health issues, elder care issues, death in the family, child care issues. And they often come together. So people come find me and I help relaunch them. Those you can't control. What we're going to talk about today are the ones that you can control. So there are 3 ingredients for your personal energy. Not surprisingly, we have body, mind, and spirit. Let's start with the obvious, your body. Just so you know, you have a body, I do too. We go through our life together. Now some people feel pretty good about their body. They think of their body as their friend. Other people think of their body as their adversary. I would urge you to negotiate some favorable terms because you may be together for a really long time. Now, we all know that we need to eat and sleep and exercise. Some of us need to do it more than we currently do. I know I could do it a little bit better. And then there are those of us who are huddled over our laptops all day. I think there should be some person that comes up behind us periodically and goes, "Hey you, step away from the laptop." Right? I would urge you to remember that you have a body. Get up, stretch, take a walk at lunch. Don't sit there watching YouTube videos. I'm guilty of it too. I'm not really claiming, but I'm suggesting that if you did get up and take a walk, you would come back fresh and you would be more productive the rest of the day. Let's talk about your mind. We are in an ideas economy, folks. Nobody gets paid to phone it in anymore. We need to have the website that converts, the tagline that terrifically tells people what we do. We need to have the next application. We need to have the business process that gets to market faster. So keeping our mind clear and focused and able to do its best work is really important. I would suggest that you do start mindfulness practice. And you're looking at me, like, seriously? I am so busy. You want me to meditate? And I'm going to tell you that research consistently proves that just 2 to 5 minutes will dramatically increase your productivity and your creativity. And who doesn't want more of that? Now maybe you're having an attitude issue. I would recommend starting a gratitude practice. Simple, get up in the morning, write down 2 to 5 things that you're grateful for. I am grateful for my strong, healthy body. I'm grateful for my loving friends and family. How long did that take? Nothing. But I felt a shift, and maybe you felt it too. Very easy to do. Let's talk about spirit. Now, it's not immediately obvious why spirit would be important for your professional success, but I can assure you that it is. If you are spent, if you are meh, what are you bringing to your work? You have nothing to give. You have nothing to give your significant other, you have nothing to give your kids, you have nothing to give because you're you're depleted. I would urge you to prioritize filling yourself up. Julia Cameron, in her amazing book, The Artist's Way, talks about filling the well. And you know what fills you up. You know that taking a walk in the woods, playing with your dogs, playing with kids, going to a yoga class. There are things you know, it's maybe a religious practice, a spiritual practice. We all have things that make us feel really good. For me, it's prioritizing my creativity in ways that I don't use in my business. For drawing, singing, dancing around like a fool. Come on, somebody else does that too. And so fill yourself up. And I sometimes think of it as powering the warp core, because I'm a little bit of a Star Trek geek. What I want you to take away from this is little things can make big differences. I'm not asking you to totally rearrange your life, folks. I'm just asking you to do little things. Now, if you're wondering, I'm not really sure how this applies to me and the way I work, let's talk about that for a second. Here's some case studies. Here's me, corporate employee. If you are not taking time to do some of the things we just talked about, you are going to bed with things still swimming around in your head. You're not sleeping well. You're hitting the snooze alarm a couple times, not getting out of bed when you should. Finally, you're dashing into the shower, but you're late. You're stuck in traffic. You miss your train. You're kind of sweaty when you get into work. You spill your coffee down your shirt. And then when you look down, you have mismatched socks. It's not a good way to start your day. But what are the repercussions of that? Your colleague comes up to you and they ask you some dumb question because they didn't read your email. Are you charitable in your response? Possibly not. You might be a tad testy or say something you possibly regret. What about this client who's making you crazy and you're writing an email to your boss because you've got to vent to somebody about this crazy client, but you're not totally with it, so you accidentally copy the client on the email and hit send. Some of you are nodding. It's happened. It's terrible when it does happen. So that's how it can affect you as a corporate employee. And the worst way it can affect you is not having the wherewithal to come up with a new way to do something and stepping into, we've always done it this way, which is toxic for any work environment, right? Or quoting company policy to somebody, which is even worse. Let's talk about small business owners. Small business owners are juggling, woo-hoo-hoo! We juggle, that's what we do. And they do more with less. You're going after the wrong things, you're prioritizing the wrong things, you're doing products that don't make sense with your overall strategy. You are trying to do the things you like versus the things you should do. You're just not focused. You're not doing what you need to be doing. You're not doing the best client service you can. So, small business owner, you're having trouble too. Job search candidate. Most of you are going to look for jobs or look for work at some point. You go into shutdown, you feel unworthy, you feel guilty when you step away from your job search. You can't spend money on something, oh my goodness. I only tell you one thing, the most important thing that you can prioritize when you are looking for a job is self-care. You will write better emails. You will get to that networking event that scares you to death. You will actually call that recruiter back who went dark on you because they expressed interest before. If you're not feeling good about yourself and you accidentally pick up the phone when that recruiter calls and you're not quite ready, you really do only have one chance to make a good first impression, folks. Prioritize self-care. People look at me like I'm nuts. I say, I never want to retire. I'm going to work till I die, and that's not the bad news. And It's like I'm poking a sacred cow. People get really upset when I say that. But I'm not alone. I found this quote from legendary cellist Pablo Casals. I, for one, cannot dream of retiring, not now or ever. Retire? The word is alien to me, and the idea inconceivable to me. I don't believe in retirement for anyone in my type of work, not while the spirit remains. My work is my life. I cannot think of one without the other. To retire means to me to begin to die. The man who works and is never bored is never old. Work and interest in worthwhile things are the best remedy for old age. Every day I am reborn. Every day I must begin again. Let's look at some statistics. Were you expecting to see that 30% of our current workforce are 65 to 69 years old? I wasn't when I went looking for the data. How about almost 20% are 70 to 74? I thought that was fascinating. But wait, there's more. 50% of people ages 50 to 88 own their own business. Now, this is a big slice of the demographic pie, I get it, but I think the number's actually higher than that. That number went up 5% from 2007 to 2012, and I think it's going to be even higher when they do it again, because it's not taking into account micro businesses, the Etsy's, the eBays, the personal organizers, the people who are putting up web pages for their friends, the little things that are going on in our economy. I think it might actually even be higher. And now we have to quote Warren Buffett because he's hilarious. Here's the thing. We have an aging workforce. The good news is that we're going to be healthy well into our old age, most of us. My grandmother sold real estate until her late 80s. She said it kept her young and out of doctor's offices. Now, some of you are going to want a traditional retirement. Travel, golf, that's totally fine. This applies to you too, because you're going to want to be healthy and have most of your marbles so that you can enjoy it. But many of us want to make an impact, want to do legacy work that has meaning for us, want to disrupt established systems so that they work better. That's what TED is all about. But in order to do that, you will need to create habits, good habits, to sustain your personal energy so that you can do the wonderful and remarkable things that you want to do in this lifetime. Self-care is not self-indulgent. Self-care is critical to sustain your professional success over the long term. And that, I believe, is an idea worth spreading.